UBC News Tonight. Welcome. My name is Micheal Lukomwa. I'm with Mohammed Mugalu, the sign language man. Commander Land Forces of the UPDF, Lieutenant General Kiruhura has handed over command of the Special Forces to the incoming acting commander in absentia, Brigadier General Peter Chandia. The Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, who officiated at the function, asked the new leadership to continue proper ideological orientation of the allied force and promised them constant support.
At the headquarters of the Special Forces Command in Entebbe is where the change of command ceremony took place Saturday morning. The ceremony saw the Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations and Commander Land Forces, Lieutenant General Kiruhura, handing over command of Special Forces Command to the incoming acting commander in absentia, Brigadier General Peter Chandia. The incoming Deputy Commander SFC, Brigadier Felix Busizori, received the instruments of authority on behalf of the commander. The function was presided over by the Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbadi, who congratulated the commanders upon the elevation, which he said meant added responsibility.
These appointments are an additional responsibility, but which, like the Commander-in-Chief saw in you, I have no doubt that you will execute to the best of our expectations. So we will endeavor to continue supporting you in these areas so that you have a force that is professional, it is effective, it is efficient, and accountable.
He noted that Special Forces Command started as a small force. However, the rigorousness of its leaders saw it grow into a formidable and unmatched force in terms of professionalism, training capabilities, discipline, and commitment to deliver on its tasks.
I think it started as a section in the bush when they say just around our president. Eventually it grew into a PPU, and eventually it grew into a group. PGB, yes, PGB. And now it is a command. This growth has come because of the leadership, the focus, with a clear purpose.
General Mbadi urged Lieutenant General Muhoozi, as the new Commander Land Forces, to replicate the same professionalism in the Land Force. He also called upon officers and men of Special Forces Command to accord their new commanders all the necessary support to further improve the force. The outgoing commander, Lieutenant General Muhoozi, hailed the Special Forces Command leadership and Uganda People's Defense Forces for supporting him in his tour of duty, especially in securing the President of the Republic of Uganda and related activities to ensure the stability of the country.
I welcome Brigadier Chandia to this new office, knowing full well he has been understudying it for a long time as Deputy Commander SFC. I am confident that you shall do a good job, Peter.
He informed the incoming commander of the impending tasks according to priority, which include building of an oxygen-producing plant, adding to the existing infrastructure development requirements, restoring the culture of saving as one of the tools to further build SFC.
But here I must say that when I came in 7 months ago, I realized that our old saving culture had deteriorated to some degree. In fact, in the first few weeks, we did not have sufficient funds to run activities. I was fortunate enough to get some support from His Excellency, and this greatly helped us carry out our work. Our serving culture has been a hallmark of SFC. It's what distinguishes us from other services. It is what has helped us achieve all the things we have achieved in infrastructure development.
The incoming leadership hailed Lieutenant General Kiruhura for his strategic leadership of the SFC and promised to begin from where he stopped.
Sir, you have taught us many things. You have inculcated into us the culture of saving and proper utilization of resources. You have done a lot for this army, both visible and invisible achievements. So on the visible achievements, these include, but not limited to, human resource development, infrastructure development, and building different capabilities. We shall begin from where you stopped and keep the candle burning in order to keep the mighty name of Special Forces Command.
The function was attended by, among others, the Joint Chief of Staff, Major General Pod Chanda, the Chief of Staff, Air Force Major General Charles Okidi, the UPDF Chief Political Commissar Major General Masco, the UPDF Spokesperson Brigadier General Flavia Bekwaso, General Officers, Commanders, Commandants, Senior and Junior Officers, and militants, among others. Bernard Higa, UBC News.
COVID-19 patients in Kiruhura district have resorted to seeking treatment from traditional healers rather than health facilities. According to the leaders, majority come back to the health facilities when their conditions have actually worsened. This has been attributed to a COVID-19 case surge in the district. It is also reported that a good number of people have died of COVID-19 and are quietly buried, a situation that the district task force is now investigating.
Kiruhura is one of the districts choking on COVID-19 case upsurge in Ankwale sub-region. The situation has been exacerbated by patients who opt for traditional healers rather than established health centers.
Not all people are religious. There are issues that people are bewitched. We have no control on that.
Since the last 1 month, because you find someone of COVID thinking that he's bewitched and he goes there.
Because these the traditional doctors, they don't diagnose the disease, so they don't treat what they know.
It is reported that whenever a person gets COVID-19 signs, the first option is traditional healers until their conditions worsen and are taken to health facilities for specialized treatment. According to area leaders, this is what has increased the spread of COVID-19.
But I attribute it basically to illiteracy and ignorance. You know, my people are semi-illiterate, and those who are illiterate believe in witchcraft. So when somebody gets sick, instead of going for medical treatment, for testing, see whether it's malaria, whether it's COVID, or whether it's what, the first thing that comes to their mind is to go for witchcraft, to go to those herbalists, to go for those traditional healers. So it's a big problem.
Residents reportedly use district ambulances to transport them to these traditional healers.
For those people, we are going to prepare these ambulances ready for use. But when it comes to fuel and facilitation, it is the individual, as of now. So that one should also be clear to you.
Reports also indicate that a good number of people are dying of COVID-19, but their families and relatives continue to bury them quietly without following COVID-19 burial guidelines. The district task force has now launched a surveillance team to investigate all unreported sickness and deaths with the aim of establishing the truth.
Because our people die from elsewhere, they are not managed by our health facilities. But even if they die from Kampala, when they come for burial in Kiruhura, the district team, surveillance team, should pick an interest and go and test those as contacts.
Kiruhura district has so far registered 234 COVID-19 cases, including 10 health workers. Among these, only 12 patients have sought treatment from the district health facilities, with 2 succumbing to the infection. The district leaders have also suspended the operations of the district administration to the public until further notice.
That means, on record, many of the services people expected are going to be somehow suspended quietly. So people should not complain to the chairman, the other DC, that this one is not taking place. We want to see how best we can save life and we can save the spread.
The health workers in Kiruhura district have been operating without adequate personal protective equipment, which has subjected some to contracting COVID-19. Area leaders have, however, come to the rescue.
But we continue to appeal that these people exercise standard operating procedures, follow the guidelines, test when they suspect that they are not feeling well.
Police in Kasangati has arrested Chadondo East Legislator Jinja City by post of mass gatherings contrary to government and Ministry of Health directives to curb the spread of COVID-19 pandemic.
Residents and vendors of roasted goat meat operating along Gayaza Road have appealed to President Museveni to edit curfew hours in order to let them bolster their sales so that they are in position to pay their monthly rent.
nabo obudde buno tebakkirizibwa kutambula obudde mulimu anyuka ku ssaawa emu nga ino yitira wano jjukira ku mulimu tafumbye ng'akokulya akasuubirawo kati azze wano ng'oluusa nange abasirikale bangobye ku 12 ate oluusi nange nga wensula wano.
They claim that they have not been reached by anyone regarding registration for relief funds to be given to vulnerable persons starting this month.
Abantu bagenda kubawa sente ffe tetuliwo olwa sente zaabwe bawe banampa emitwalo 5 nga nze wano mbadde nfunawo omutwalo gye emitwalo 5 tezigenda kumbeezaawo bbanga lyenjagala.
They voiced this concern to Chadondo East Member of Parliament Nkunyinji Muwada, who was distributing hand-washing facilities to Kasangati communities.
Omukulembeze waffe kyatukoledde okubeera nti atuwadde ebintu ebigenda okubeera nti bitulaga okuba nti tuyonjezebwa kubanga twetaaga okuba nga tuli bayonjo wa bakitiriya so tweeta amazzi tegeeza okunaaba kyekikulu okunaaba engalo okusobola okutta ki virus.
The Member of Parliament asked government to include his electorates on the list of relief funds recipients.
On prevention and support our people to exist. We don't know when coronavirus or COVID will ever go. We must support communities to work and to live and to keep on with life, but in an unorganized way which focuses on prevention. Okunyigiriza okulaba nti n'abantu baffe ab'omu Kyaddondo bateekebwamu abalina okuyambibwako ssente y'omusolo nga tuyambako Uganda.
Just halfway the distribution exercise, Muwada decided to offer the same items to Kasangati police post, and here he was arrested for gathering big numbers of people, contrary to directives set by the government and the Ministry of Health on social distancing. By press time, Muwada was still detained at Kasangati police cells, waiting to be charged. Ivan Juko, reporting for UBC News.
The Attorney General has vowed to appeal against the Constitutional Court decision which declared that the court-martial should not try civilians. The Attorney General's chambers explained that they are still analyzing and studying the judgment, after which they will appeal to the Supreme Court. However, some lawyers, especially those with clients in the General Court-Martial, have welcomed the judgment.
A panel of 5 justices of the Constitutional Court, led by Justice Kenneth Kakulu and including Lady Justice Helen Obura, Justice Stephen Musota, Justice Christopher Madrama, and Justice Remy Kasule, ruled that the court-martial should not try civilians. In a majority decision, justices agreed that the General Court-Martial is not an independent and impartial court to try civilians, since they are not subject to military law.
When they are taking oaths, they swear to defend the UPDF Act and not the Constitution like the judges do. The court is composed of soldiers, some who are not lawyers, therefore they are not trained as lawyers, may not have the competence of interpreting the penal laws.
In analyzing Article 119 of the UPDF Act, they indicated that for someone to be subject to the military court, that person should have abated or aided the military officer as the prime suspect in the matter.
They further found that the military courts are meant to try soldiers of disciplinary cases and matters which are related to operations and not matters which are penal in nature. That is where the cases are defined by the act about the offences that have been committed.
Talking to lawyers following this judgment, they had mixed reactions on court's judgment.
We hope that the executive will respect this court decision, that the DPP will take back the cases as ordered by court.
As if this case has only helped Honorable Kabaziguruka, which is okay, but to me I see more civilians with soldiers being arrested and charged in the court-martial.
Geoffrey Tuyamusima, representing Edisebu Falais Edi Mutwe, Nubian Lee and other National Unity Platform supporters in the General Court Martial, welcomed the judgment.
Upon the lapse of the 14 days, we shall be able to trace all our cases and to do whatever it takes to release our clients from several prisons on bail.
Where a civilian commits an offense with a soldier, abetting or aiding, that person should be charged with the court-martial. Now, that renders this judgment almost inapplicable.
Although 7 and similar judgments have been delivered from different courts on the same issue, the court-martial has declined to adhere to these judgments.
It shows a very bad example to civilians, and then they might want to take the law into their own hands.
If they fail to do in accordance with that court judgment, there shall be already a contempt of court order, and we shall go back to the same court.
I do not see anything that is going to harm the court-martial or that is going to harm the UPDF.
Fiona Nabasawol, however, asked Parliament to amend the UPDF Act as it was directed by court before to avoid such incidences.
We cannot say that we're in a democracy and the court issues an order that changes the law and Parliament does not effect it.
Lawyers also expressed their views on how they are treated in the court-martial.
When we appear in that court, we are robbed, we appear in robes. Now, by being an enrolled advocate, you must be respected as an advocate.
And the rules there are completely different. And also the jurisdiction of the court is different. The powers of the head of the court-martial is completely different from the powers of a judge.
So the whole system is too unfair. The whole system lacks independence.
The Attorney General vowed to appeal against this judgment.
We are going to study it as the Attorney General's chambers and decide on the next course of action. So we have certain parts of the judgment that we don't agree with, and we need to study them and internalize them and then make a decision on how to proceed.
Those who do not want to be charged in the military courts, the civilians, that appeal will eventually help the civilians if it at all the judges come out independently and follow our constitution.
Court also ordered Kabaziguruka's case to be referred to the High Court for investigations and all civilians with pending cases in court-martial to be transferred to the civil courts within 14 days.
The Attorney General has a right of appeal against the judgment and orders of the Constitutional Court. In that regard, it is not in order for the DPP to go ahead of the Attorney General.
If the Attorney General fails to appeal against this judgment in the Supreme Court, all orders by the Constitutional Court justices will stand after 14 days. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Ministry of Health in partnership with Twaweza has shared myths and misinformation on vaccines that treat COVID-19 and denied allegations that many of those who received the COVID-19 jabs have died. This was made a Sauti za Wananchi presentation on data gathered from Kampala residents between July to August 2020 and 30th of June 2021.
The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development says COVID-19 relief funds will only be extended to those whose business were recently affected by the national lockdown.
Number one, we want to clarify that the registration process is being aided, spearheaded and led by the town clerks who are working with the community development officers, labor officers, and other technical officers as the town clerks assigns. The town clerks were chosen to lead this exercise not because the political elected leaders do not have a role, but it's because they are the custodian of information on the target persons, including those who earn their daily income from businesses in urban areas.
The exercise to ascertain the targeted group is ongoing in different city centers, with the community leaders spearheading the exercise.
We have also already noticed that in some areas, residents are complaining that persons on the list, they do not know them, or that they have transferred from their areas, or that they don't qualify among the categories. There has been that especially around Kampala, where we are using previous data for food distribution.
She also clarified that not all people with disabilities will be given, but only those whose economic activities were interrupted.
Looking at what was going on yesterday during the registration exercise, is whether persons with disability, older persons and women are part of the targeted persons. There was a misconception that since we are looking at workers, only men are considered. Let me clarify that persons with disability, older persons and women are part of the targeted persons, as long as they fall within the categories.
The COVID-19 relief fund targets bus and taxi drivers, conductors, saloon owners, barmaids, boda riders, among others. Sadam Mubale, UBC News, Kampala.
Ministry of Gender, before we go to that, that was our story about the COVID relief that will be given to different kind of people that were affected by the lockdown, having had their works halted due to the 42 days we have to keep in our houses to avoid the spread of COVID-19. We'll get our story about the misinformation on the vaccines later on. Moving on, the Ministry of Gender, I beg your pardon, local government leaders in Jinja City have appreciated government's commitment to provide relief to residents during this latest COVID-19 lockdown. They, however, raised concern over a few issues as explained in this report.
Upon lockdown due to the COVID-19 pandemic, government set aside money as relief to the public. The money is reserved for vulnerable members of the public, including boda riders, taxi drivers and conductors, teachers, gym attendants, and those in the entertainment industry, among others. After consultations, government zeroed on 100,000 Uganda shillings to every beneficiary, with each district, town or city apportioned a number of recipients. Jinja City was given 7,407 slots, which have left local leaders questioning rationale in a city of more than 500,000 people.
Kubira government omulanga nti kirungi tweyanziza akatono kano kemwatulowoleza akokubanga abantu bafunayo ku mulango obuyambi buno aye butono. Ekibuga idina toyinza kunkoba nti amaka kasanvu bina na musanvu gonka nagali kwetaaga obuyambi betu tukweta ba vulnerable people. Jinja, we are almost all vulnerable to the situation eriwo. Nti ekimbe kya COVID-19 buli munaye muntu ali mu idinda omuna Uganda ali mu idinda muno. Muntu wa kakola kalya. The
leaders query and draw examples from Jero municipality, which despite being smaller was given more slots.
Omuntu bw'afuluma Kampala ekibuga ekindi ky'abasuubira is Jinja City. But you can't say nti emiya municipality erimu ebibuga obubuga buno bubuga butono obubiri. That is to say Njero municipality erimu akabuga kambiko na Kibizi. Efuni omutwalo mulamba n'enkumi 3+. Jinja City erina suburbs eningi because wovanze gyenkiikirire mafubira digeto ediriyo tosobola dibala amafubira wene waliwo geto nga 5 woje namulese eriyo geto da mirundi ngena neri abajja balako diba boys n'abasigaire bwovaawo no idaye bugembe no ingira budumbuli side geto diri eyo bwoveyo noja musoweto danida chikala moja ero nadona abantu abali vulnerable yofuna buti wabolingirira abasubulira bus park tax park ni mu arcade. I don't think nti osobola kanti njeru erina darkade than Jinja City, so abantu bale balina oyambibwa okusinga wano ndigeza na njeru because nekiri okumpi.
When we sought comment from the resident city commissioner Major David Matovu, he preached patience.
Be patient. Deal with leaders only. Deal with leaders and the technical people. When you deal with social media, you will get lost. When you deal with everybody, you will get lost. My phone is always on. My office is open. The categories have been specified. Not everybody. And we have been guided on how to identify people.
Distribution of this money starts next week.
The West Nile region leaders have tasked the Umbrella Association of West Nile Development Association to champion the end of inter-district border conflicts. All 13 West Nile districts have border conflicts with each other, with Yumbe and Madiokolo districts being in the lead.
Resolving inter-district border conflicts among West Nile district has been identified as one of the biggest tasks the newly elected council executive members of West Nile Development Association is bent on resolving. District chairperson has identified their umbrella organization as a body championing conflict resolution.
I am wondering which district is that in West Nile that has no border issues with the neighbors. I have a problem with the Okolo. Okolo has a problem with the Arua Residual Laura area. We need to start with this border thing. I have not had it in the report. It is something that we should put our heads together and strategize to see how we end these things.
Yes, Yumbe has border problems with the Koboko. Yumbe has border disputes with the Nile. Yumbe has border disputes with the Madukolo and even Tororo. So all these are challenges that we have. But now with the initiative of Wenda and the commitment of the Minister of Lands, I'm optimistic that we should be able to resolve these border problems in the district.
We here, we are suffering at the expense of some technocrats, some politicians sitting in Kampala. What we are waiting for is the surveyor from Kampala to come and take us through this borderline, that here is the Madokolo, here is the Teregu, here is the Yumbe. We keep marking them. This is an exercise which we will even finish in 1 month.
The chairperson is noted that most of these issues on border disputes are at the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, but no actions have been taken to bring sanity in these misunderstandings. According to district chairpersons of Terego, Wilfred Saka, and one from Madi, Okelo, Ismail Drabe, the inter-district border disputes are affecting economic development, as it is one of the factors demoralizing partners in their respective districts.
And one thing which chases development partners is the issue of conflict. If we want to talk about development, we need to engage the Minister of Lands, particularly the Department of Surveillance and Mapping. If it means districts raising money to bring this person here, I think members will need to do it. The sooner we address this problem, the better for all the districts in this region.
The fight between Madis and the Teregos in Ochea, it is purely economics. The Madis feel that the growing business at Ochea will be controlled by them. Some of the few Teregians there, they feel that business there will be controlled by them. And as such, the business is not now going properly. You see this? That is where we got straight. It affects economic development.
The mayor of Arua City, Wadri Sam Munyakwa, who is also former Arua district chairman, says that some leaders incite locals to battle inter-district border issues and called upon his colleagues not to handle border issues with emotions, as has been the case in the past. He also encouraged the leaders to take advantage of the state minister in charge of lands who comes from the region to solve the matter.
When we are handling this matter, let's avoid emotions, because it is going to divide the people, it is going to cause bloodshed. But I think we are privileged. This time we have a minister from this region who is directly in charge of lands. At least let us push this time together, whether you are affected or not, when we have an opportunity to make the people responsible so that these areas are resolved.
Arua District Woman Member of Parliament, Lilian Paparu, called for a joint effort between district leaders and MPs from the region to sensitize the public about land disputes among districts.
This of land is becoming very rampant. Apart from land in the neighboring districts, even within communities, domestic violence conflicts are now on land. So let's continue to sensitize. But above all, I agree, teaming up is very key.
The organization's chairperson, who is also Moyo district leader, Wujamus Anyama, says it needs stakeholder engagement to bring inter-district border disputes to an end. Adiana Kote.
The academia in northern Uganda believe that it is now time for the country to change its education system of confining learners in a class before a blackboard. Gulu University Vice-Chancellor Professor George Openjuru Lada says the country has suffered setbacks in education due to rigidity and failure to popularize correspondence education as an alternative mode that has been in existence since the 1950s.
Gulu University Vice-Chancellor Professor George Openjuru Landa says Uganda's education sector has gone through tough times in the recent times.
A series of disruption for the education sector as a whole, and from nursery to universities. And that was what we call a staggered reopening.
The outbreak of COVID-19 in the country has seen learning institutions shut down and learners sent home. It is here that the professor calls on the country to get out of the current single mindset of confining learners in a classroom environment and shift to a correspondence of homeschooling and e-learning.
If we had popularized them as options of equal status, where all of them are seen as delivery mechanism that ensures quality and not the other way around, then we would just migrate in between the two. Correspondence has been around for some time. So that is what we think needs to be done in order for us to accommodate the pandemic and any other such outbreaks that disrupt all social organizations and institutions in the country.
The country director, Invisible Children, Jolie Laka Adruvile, on her part says physical classrooms are no longer the best options of learning.
There are kids out there who are busy online studying. Even the universities that are actually graduating people virtually. Now, with the current situation right now, I think the physical classroom that teachers used to have with the children is not now the best, because Corona has come to stay with us and we don't know when it is going to leave. And since everything is trial with this pandemic, everything is a trial, for me now the best way of helping children is by having virtual learning.
An online Bachelor of Arts in Journalism and Mass Communication at Amita University, India, Fortunate Angela Amano explains that Uganda's learning needs an overhaul. The 27-year-old thinks that the government needs to invest in infrastructure.
We can come up with a scheme or a policy or put up a body where students can get funds from. I believe that by now every student would have been able to access their their education or their lectures, because they will get the loan and procure for themselves the laptops and be able to have internet connection in order to go ahead with their learning. So I believe the government, I urge the government and everyone responsible that they should look at the education system and invest more in it, because I believe it is the backbone of this country's development as well.
Her compatriot Abba Mase Abalo, a 24-year-old third-year law student at Gulu University, is in agreement.
My faculty of law, actually, I can say 80% of the students have coped up with the system, which is practically well, because we are understanding, the lectures are going on so well, and we are hoping for more improvement. But the issue of us going back again to sit in one class with all this pandemic, it is going to be really terrifying for some of the students, and also to other people like the parents and even the lecturer themselves. They're also afraid for their life.
However, there is fear that financially poor families will not cope up with the demands of e-learning.
If it is a dedicated radio station, you don't even need a radio as such. You can even get that little phone that you're able to charge using a solar system, which is cheap. There are these little panels that, like you carry along and you can charge. So that would be an option that can be used, like by parents who cannot afford completely.
Nelson Obol is a father of 4. He believes that classroom education is still important, but schools should reduce the number of learners in each classroom.
The sitting arrangement should be changed, even if now there's no outbreak, but we take into account that in future we need social distancing because it is healthy, it is good. The things of taking up and then absorbing pupils in large numbers should be stopped. There should be a regulation. For instance, in the past used to be 45 pupils to one teacher, that ratio.
But Professor George Openjeru-Ladha is confident that learners in remote areas will embrace modern learning in the same way they embraced smartphones. He is also critical of the current examination system.
And I think the money to build classroom infrastructure, the brick and mortar infrastructure, are more expensive than putting up bandwidth and Wi-Fi. Because even the big classrooms need maintenance, just like the Wi-Fi needs maintenance. You've got to pay for them. When they were bringing this wireless telephony, they said the villagers will not afford. But go to any village and see if they don't have handsets. They do. So this imagination that this group or that group will not afford is just a vehicle of imaginations which should be avoided. I believe in open book examination, cooperate to solve problems. That is how society is. There is no society of your desk is here, don't look left, don't look right in order to address this. Is that how the world works? In offices, we consult. Why can't we demonstrate consultation in testing our capabilities? So the examination system itself is utterly, terribly flawed. It should be abolished. And education is as well. And I think I have sufficient authority to make this statement.
A section of cultural leaders in Tororo want government to investigate circumstances under which a family lost over 2 million shillings after one man connived with friends and faked his death. This is after one Charles Ogola, a resident of Omonyole village in Kisoko sub-county, lied through a friend that he had succumbed to COVID-19, leaving the family with no option but to prepare for his burial.
This was meant to be a grave for one Charles Ogola, a resident of Omonyole village in Kisoko sub-county. The grave was dug a few days after Ogola's family received information that he had succumbed to COVID-19 in Bugeri district, where he has been working. Upon learning of the sad news, naturally, the community had to mobilize a meeting to find ways of sending money to secure the then said deceased.
I also went around and mobilized some young men to come and dig the grave. Immediately those people reached, they started digging the grave. In fact, they dug the grave very well while we were waiting for the dead body.
But surprisingly, after digging the grave to the required depth and size, and even sending money to clear the remaining medical bills and for the coffin, in addition to transportation of the body, the family was shocked to see the said deceased return home alive. The community members are now worried and confused about what to do next, saying this could cause them trouble soon.
But now we are still stranded. People are asking so many questions. What to do with this grave?
Some cultural leaders are equally concerned, saying that this could be a curse to the family.
Look at a situation where a grave is dug and there is nobody to be buried in. Can you imagine? That is a very big curse now. And we also believe culturally here that if somebody either intentionally or unintentionally proclaims himself dead, that alone is a bad omen.
Such a thing can go up to the 4th generation. Once somebody has been proclaimed or pronounced dead, can never again come back proudly and happily moving in front of people who have already mourned, people poured tears.
The leaders who condemn the act suggest that to have the alleged curse resolved, some rituals have to be performed.
There has to be a lot of cultural rituals, which the elders know better, to remove those bad spells on that family. The person himself is already full of spells. The family is full of spells, and he has brought a very big curse on the family. And I think culture here will agree with the religion even, because I think even religion here agrees with the culture that you cannot pronounce yourself dead. So those are curses which I think his culture, his clan will have to address.
Secondly, since this person was pronounced dead and he came back with the very people who had been announcing his death, I think security needed to be around. The authorities should be consulted so that they also take action.
Man declares himself dead. Very funny there in Tororo. Let's take a very short break. On return, we get back with business news. Thank you so much for watching.
As the financial year 2020-2021 draws to an end, URA has put measures in place to facilitate taxpayers to file their returns and pay taxes within the set deadline. All our offices across the country and the URA Contact Center shall remain open to provide extra support to our esteemed taxpayers. Additionally, we have extended our contact center service hours from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday and from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturdays and public holidays. In light of the COVID-19 risks, we encourage taxpayers to reach us through our improved contact center and other online platforms instead of making physical visits to our offices. For online support, please reach us through our toll-free lines 0800 117 000 or 0800 217 000. Email services@ura.go.ug. Website ura.go.ug. Social media: Facebook, URA page, Twitter @URA Uganda. URA Customs Help Tool, help.ura.go.ug/login. URA appreciates all taxpayers who have duly fulfilled their obligations. Stay safe and let us all observe the standard operating procedures to prevent further spread of the COVID-19 virus. Stay safe as we develop Uganda together.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
COVID-19 Jinja City. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear a mask properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
In efforts to improve quality assurance and Uganda's competitiveness as a tourist destination, Uganda Tourism Board is set to undertake a nationwide grading and classification exercise of hotel and accommodation facilities. As a member of the East African community, Uganda subscribes to the East African Grading and Classification Criteria, a system denoted by stars ranging from 1 to 5. The grading and classification exercise will be crowned by the awarding of star ratings to facilities found compliant to the EAC minimum standards. This is therefore a call to all accommodation and facility owners and managers to register and get licensed by UTB as a requirement and get ready for participation. For more information, visit www.utb.go.ug or email qualityassurance@utb.go.ug for details. Uganda Tourism Board, promoting tourism together.
Fellow Ugandans, you know that the current COVID-19 period is a trying time in our lives. However, we still have another threat that has been with us for a long time, and it is called neglected tropical diseases, also known as NTDs. NTDs include bilharzia and worms that cause swollen stomachs. Trachoma causes blindness, and elephantiasis causes the swelling of legs. These diseases are affecting millions globally, and yet they can be prevented by regular hand washing with soap and clean running water, regular washing of the face with a soap and clean running water, keeping dirty hands away from your eyes, always using pit latrines and discouraging open defecation in your community to avoid flies that carry germs, reporting to the health facility early when feeling unwell. Remember to stay safe and protect yourself. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from a SEN project.
Welcome back from the break. It's UBC News Tonight. In business news, Posta Uganda has denied allegations that it is out of business, especially during the 42-day partial COVID-19 lockdown. The Executive Director, Posta Uganda, James Arinitwe, says besides scaling down its staff, Posta has escalated their operations across the country.
Posta Uganda is largely a carrier company that deals in both bulk and digital transfers and has since then seen its operations scaled up across the country.
There are many people who have been sending medicine to their families. A person who works in Kampala wants medicine to go, maybe hypertension, other chronic diseases. There are people who are on medication all the time, and they get medicine on a regular basis. So what people do now, they are based here, they buy the medicine, they come here and we package it, and they are assured that this medicine is going to reach my patient tomorrow because the vehicles go and comb the areas.
Posta Uganda is now working tooth and nail to bridge the communication and merchandise transfer gap to the satisfaction of its customers.
There is incoming merchandise where somebody living abroad sends a phone or a computer to a student. Someone is working and is sending a computer to their son. That is still coming in. We receive it, we process it, and deliver. That is still going on. That one also goes. Then there are those who want to export. They also bring their merchandise. We sort it, we check it for acceptance. Once it's allowed, we take it to the airport and export it.
However, roadblocks mounted across the country are hindering its movement and its operations.
Many of them have movement permits, but a few of them hadn't yet got. We are processing those as well. But we now appeal to the leadership. If you see a post office vehicle, please know that it is carrying urgent government mail. They will not carry passengers. There will be a driver and a turnman, and when you look through, you will see government mail.
Posta Uganda is also now moving towards fully digitalizing its operations to suit the current environment.
But also, suppose this situation stayed for longer, what would be the relevance of the post in doing this? For example, we're now working at a product where we want to partner with existing mail deliverers to go door to door because they do exist. What we need to do is to ensure safety of their merchandise.
Postal services like mail transfer, hard cash and cargo carrier, among others, was the only available option for Ugandans until digital platforms were established, and since then the situation has largely changed to suit the environment. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
COVID-19, Jinja City. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear a mask properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
In the world of sport, with just 20 days to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, Uganda's athletes are going through the final phase of training with optimism. Uganda has qualified 27 athletes from 4 federations, including rowing, swimming, boxing and athletics, which entered the majority, including Oscar Chelimo, who will compete in the 5,000 meters.
I'm Chelimo Oscar, running 3,000 meters, 5,000 and also cross country. Also to run long distance like marathon. I'm a long distance runner. I want to be like the Haile Selassie and Eliud Kipchoge. I need my community to be looking me, my family, my friends, my fellow Ugandans, and all my fans over the world. Because without them, I will not even enjoy the race. Because for them, they always cheer and they give advice and they motivate. to be a strong athlete. My happy moment was the day when I represented Uganda under 18 World Championship in Nairobi. That is the time I see my future. Becoming athletes, first thing, if you want to be an athlete, self-discipline is important. And you have to follow what the coach said and the elders. Because athletics doesn't matter the brain, but it comes from your heart, how focused you are. Being a champion makes you to think back and forward. Because the more you step, you cannot step even coming behind, but you look in front for your future, for your family, and for your country.
That is all we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Micheal Jordan Lukomwa with Mohammed Mugalu and the whole team. We wish you the best of the night and the Sunday. Bye-bye.